It began as a song that no one alive could remember learning, a melody older than the monastery's youngest monk. They called it, later, the Night of Singing. On a night stitched to the end of harvest, the dead sang. What would you do if a voice you thought lost returned to the air? And where does song live? In the throat? Or in the place that remembers? Listen, the cloister is waiting. There was an old ledger beneath the abbey's altar, leather-cracked, ink-browned. Brother Mateo found it on an October morning when fog clung to the yew trees. No name, no signature, only a date, 1452. Inside, one trembling line. The singing returned. We stood at the threshold and wept. That night, the bells tolled, though no monk touched them. Brother Mateo followed the sound to the chapel. Silence. Then a single voice, fragile as moth wing, singing an ancient Latin hymn. More voices joined, bright, low, layered. A choir with no bodies. A memory made sound. Questions rose like dust in sunlight. Where did the voices come from? Why only once a year? The villagers shared stories. A seamstress recalled funeral bells that rang on their own. An old soldier spoke of a silence heavier than grief. A child remembered a lullaby from a mother who had no children. Whispers grew. The monks kept vigil. They added names to the ledger, those lost to fever, war, sea, and time. Next to each name, sang with them. Testimonies multiplied. A novice felt breath rising from the stone floor. A farmer smelled brine and rosemary when the choir began. Some heard apologies whispered between hymns. Others heard gratitude. Scholars tested every wall and corridor. No trick, no hidden chamber. The stone itself carried the voices. Pilgrims arrived, sleeping on straw in the refectory. All waited for the night when unseen voices would weave hymns into the dark. Each year, the same night returned, and so did the choir. Sometimes a mother's voice. Sometimes many voices blending like stained glass catching moonlight. In the fifth year, a loose stone revealed a wooden box hidden in the wall. Inside, a rosary bead, a child's ribbon, and a coded parchment. Decoded, it listed names, not just monks, but sailors, villagers, plague victims, all buried outside the eastern wall, unmarked, unremembered. A historian uncovered an old decree. In winter 1452, desperate refugees were turned away from the harbor. They died near the monastery, buried quietly, their names unwritten. The choir was not haunting, it was answering. A covenant broken by the living was being completed by the dead. Another record from 1799 revealed a forgotten tradition. On the eve of All Saints, we must sing the names aloud. Over centuries, the practice faded. Silence replaced remembrance, and the silence echoed back in song. What does it mean to be remembered? Memory is shelter. The monks learned that remembrance is work, as real as tending soil. The voices taught a harder truth. The past is not always done with us. Sometimes it returns to guide what we have broken. Skeptics said the choir was grief projected into sound, but listeners heard details they could not have invented. A grandmother's scent, a childhood pet's name, a forgotten blessing. Faith grew in the space between certainty and wonder. The monks revived the ancient practice. One night a year, they read aloud every forgotten name. Villagers joined. Candles burned. Names lived again in warm breath. Lives changed. Estranged sons returned. Old gardens were tended. Grudges softened. Perhaps miracles are threads reattached, not thunder. Is that not what prayer is? To remember, to name, to love? The night of singing continued, but the choir softened. The voices grew peaceful. The ledger grew shorter, not from forgetting, but from learning to remember. One year, Brother Mateo stood alone in the chapel, hand against stone. He whispered the name of someone he had wronged. A single warm note answered. We do not know if the voices were the dead, or if memory itself found a way to sing. What we know is simple. People changed. They knelt more. They forgave more. They carried names gently. And one autumn, the choir sang again, not in lament, but in gratitude. A hymn of thanks drifting across the sea. Maybe the dead were never silent. Maybe they simply waited for someone willing to listen. If memory is an altar, let us lay truth upon it. Let us lay names. Let us lay gratitude. For someday, perhaps, someone will sing our names back into the light. And somewhere, between belief and doubt, lies the unknown truth.